Hi, everyone. This is Megan Van Petten.
And this is Lindsay Poss. You're listening to the Esports Next podcast. Here, we will highlight the fantastic guests and speakers of the Esports Next conference.
Esports Next 2022 is presented by Morgan Stanley and is located in Sweet Home, Chicago. Don't forget to register to secure your spot at the conference and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to the Esports Next podcast. This is the official podcast of the Esports Next conference. I'm Megan Van Petten and joined by my friend and co-host, Lindsay the Boss Poss.
Hi, Megan. Thanks so much for having me on and introducing me. Can you go ahead and tell me about today's guest?
Sure. We have John Davidson, the chairman of Esports Trade Association. John, tell us about yourself. What was your entry point into esports and what is your current role?
Yeah, thank you both for having me. My entry point was coming from the marketing arm, which had GameStop as a client. And so I was hired on the agency side to lead partnerships for GameStop. Shortly after GameStop hired me on the brand side, my first day, my boss during our onboarding said, John, in addition to partnerships, we want you to figure out esports for us. And so that was just quite an entry point. It's not one that you can really replicate, I guess you could say, kind of right place, right time. But, as part of that role, I had opportunities to get on a lot of boards, really boost my network. And, one of the groups that I joined was the interim board of the Esports Trade Association, where I was then voted by my peers to be president, surprisingly. And now I'm in my second term as chair.
That's a tall order to just figure out all of esports. That's quite a task. I'm glad you came out on the other side of that and are here today to tell the tale. What contribution, let's talk about the conference. What contribution will you be making at the conference? What speaking slots do you have? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so I will be co-hosting with Megan. So we're going to get up on that stage in the morning and welcome everybody. Thank them for being at our amazing conference. We're going to introduce our speakers at times. We're going to have a wonderful MC doing most of the hosting duties, but we will be doing part of that. I'll also be hosting a fireside chat. The guest is to be announced, so definitely look out for that. But it's going to be really special to interview somebody who is doing very innovative things in the space and that the attendees can really learn from.
So, John, what do you think makes Esports Next different than every other conference out there?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these esports conferences. So I encourage people, to go to others as well, but mostly I encourage you to come to ours. But I think when you can bring people together and provide a unique experience that they're not going to have anywhere else, that's where we really shine. So Esports Next is hosted in Chicago, which is very unique. Chicago is an amazing city. End of August is a beautiful time there where it's, I believe, starting to cool down a little bit.
If we get lucky, yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of focus on experiences. So some of those experiences are the day before the conference, we have a Wrigley rooftop game. We are hosting attendees right across the field where you can see right into Wrigley Field, which is an iconic baseball park. We also have a networking night at the Wit, rooftop at the Wit, which is very exclusive. It's premium. It's got such an amazing view of the city. And then probably my favorite part of the conference, of the programming during the actual conference, during the day, is our elevator pitch competition. And what we love to do with that is we like to elevate entrepreneurs who are coming into the space, who are solving problems, finding better ways to do things. And we give them a platform to pitch their business. And then we're also providing, opportunities for investors to get in touch with these entrepreneurs, to be part of these great opportunities and to help improve sustainable growth for our space.
I'm definitely looking forward to hearing a lot of different business ideas and getting a sense for what people are innovating on out there. And one of the things that you talked about that you just said was building sustainable businesses. And you had mentioned in a previous conversation that that's something that you feel really passionate about and kind of motivates you in your current role. Could you speak a little bit more to that and what else excites you about the esports industry?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So one thing that really opened my eyes when I was at GameStop and really made me realize the need for the Esports Trade Association is recognizing that the number one source of revenue in this industry is sponsorship and partnership dollars from brands, but brands often struggle to receive a return on their investment. And so if you think about the source of the money for this industry that is funding it more than anything else, the people, those stakeholders are not receiving the benefit. They're not receiving the reason why they are putting those dollars in. That's terrifying. And so I think there is a lot of opportunity to help the people who work in this industry understand just how to do their jobs with excellence, provide them with knowledge, provide them with insight from people who have been in business for 20, 30 years. And on the flip side, people who have been in business in other industries who are looking to get in the esports space, who don't know where to start. It can be confusing. It's a small subculture. Everybody kind of knows each other. It can be difficult to break in. So I like to say it's kind of like a safe place for people to come in and learn about the space. So there's a lot of opportunities around monetization, improving business models. But in my role, with my consulting, being in touch with a lot of brands, a lot of teams, I feel very passionate about partnerships. So helping to craft campaigns that deliver meaningful value to the audience, and then in turn, deliver meaningful value back to the brand to continue to then put their dollars in this space because they're working for them.
Yeah, that's really and we cover that at the conference. I think we cover brand sponsorship every time. This is our fourth conference, but our second annual in person.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about some of the programs that we have and some of the panels and guests, of course.
Sure. Yeah. So as you said, partnerships, we have some people who are going to be great speakers who can share what campaigns they've done, what are teams looking for, what are leagues looking for, what are brands looking for, and then really helping attendees understand, number one, how to do those things, but number two, you can meet that person right there after the panel or during a networking break, and maybe you do a deal there, right? That you bring on a new sponsor for your team or your league or something like that. Gaming for everyone is one that I'm really looking forward to as well. I thought one of our strongest panels last year was our Women in Gaming panel. And so this is kind of taking the Women in Gaming panel, and it's like a 2.0 version of that, where we are recognizing and providing a platform for all sorts of underrepresented groups, because it's more than just women who are underrepresented in this space. And so we want to highlight those people, and then we also want them to have the opportunity to share how can we help represent these folks who should be recognized more. Those would be the two that I'm looking forward to the most.
Thank you for shouting out the panel that I'm speaking on. Your check is in the mail. Appreciate it. Appreciate that endorsement. Yeah, that was great. I want to talk a little bit about what you're looking at, what you're following outside of the days of the conference, just because throughout the year, I know that you and Megan are putting in work to find these people to come and speak and to make these connections within the industry to make ESTA or to make Esports Next really good when you do have the programming. So what resources have helped you grow, learn, stay informed within the gaming space? Mm-hmm. And where do you often find that content?
Yeah, I am reading esports websites a lot. So probably the top three that I'm looking at are the Esports Observer, Esports Insider, and Deserto as well. Our board is a wonderful group, our board of directors and our advisory board, who I learn a lot from, and they have tremendous networks, and I've done a great job of bringing in fantastic speakers. But also, too, my podcast has turned out to really be a great source of learning for me. It's called the DLC Drop Podcast. Subscribe on your favorite platform, please. And it's just great sitting down with amazing people, hearing the stories of their career journeys and what they've learned along the way, sharing that with an audience. And then also, I'm learning a lot from these people. For example, today, the day of this recording, I'm interviewing Ryan Johnson from Community, and he's actually speaking on that panel with you as well, Lindsay. Mm-hmm. And then I'm speaking with Justin Varghese of Panda Global, who is going to be speaking on our partnership panel as well. So it's going to be fun sitting down with those guys and learning from them. And, people will have an opportunity to learn from them directly at the conference as well.
It really is, it's mastering, your craft. Like what do you do, and being a chairman of the Esports Trade Association is really truly no small feat. And John's very humble. He has a lot that he puts in toward this conference, and he approves all of the content. Everything lands with John's final stamp of approval, which is really amazing. You certainly are a legend in this space. Mm-hmm. We really appreciate that, all that you do for our community. What keeps you inspired?
Good question. What keeps me inspired? What keeps me inspired is seeing other people advance the business interests of our space. Last year was a real coin flip as to, is this conference going to be successful or not, right? It was our first physical conference. COVID was all up and down. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Chicago was changing the classification of, should people come? Should they not? All these things. We didn't even know a week before. This is very behind the scenes. We were like, are we even going to have a conference? It was highly stressful. And what I can say was I was so incredibly proud of the team, our speakers, and thankful to the people who showed up. We had a great group, a good sized group, and that just gave me so much validation. It was one of those moments seeing the people who said, I'm willing to put my name on this conference and speak. I'm willing to put my brand's name on this conference and sponsor. And for people to be willing to lend their credibility to us and say that we trust you with this, that's incredibly inspiring. And then this year just feels so much easier because we've done it, and I always say it's easier to sell a case study than an idea. And last year we were an idea, right? We had done virtual conferences, but we had not done a physical one. So we couldn't show people, look at what we did. This is great. You want to be part of this. And last year's was very successful, very well run. And I'm just so excited to replicate that and then take it a step up this time. So to answer that in the longest way possible, it would be the people who are willing to come, buy a ticket, speak on that stage, sponsor the conference. That really inspires me, and it makes me want to do more of what we've been doing for the last 3 years.
The proof of concept is always the hardest part. I definitely think that several entrepreneurs there would agree with you wholeheartedly. So I'm glad that it worked out last year, and I'm glad that you all are able to come in and get some great programming done for this year. I'm excited. It'll be my first time.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, and it's going to be you're one of those people, Lindsay, who's coming to speak. So very thankful for you doing that as well.
It made me think, John, like just bringing it back to the basic. I think there's no one in the world that didn't have a birthday party growing up or something, and think, oh my God, is everybody going to come to my party? That I invited. It's just like anybody that doesn't admit to that, it just isn't saying the truth, because it is true. And there's just something about putting our whole heart in this conference. And when you see people there and you see who came and, who trusted us with their brand and who led us through the content and, who came to the party, it's one of the most heartfelt feelings in the world. I can personally, I'm so gracious that we are all coming to my hometown, Sweet Home Chicago. If you're not registered for the conference, please do. It's August 22nd and 23rd. And we are happy to host everyone here. Lindsay?
Well, speaking of birthday parties, my birthday is August 22nd. So I will be taking it personally if people don't register for the giant birthday party that ESTA is throwing me. Yeah. Just to let everyone know.
No
John,
surprise.
I know. Yeah.
I guess we're going to have to squeeze in a birthday party at the Wit. Maybe we can rebrand, the networking session of Lindsay's birthday party.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. John, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find or follow you or keep up with your work after they subscribe to the DLC Drop podcast?
Yeah, thank you so much. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on there quite a bit. Just John Davidson, Esports. I'll pop up. You can also please follow the Esports Trade Association. EsportsTA.org is our website where you can see all the information. And then for DLC, my company and the DLC Drop podcast, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at DLC Drop. Say hello. Looking forward to connecting with people.
Well, and John stole my closing a little bit, but to find out more about Esports Next and to register, check out esportsta.org. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next episode.